do you feel that the value on these gaming influencers or celebrities or whatever you want to call them, do you feel like it's overvalued? Like, do people really think? Because I think there's like people think live views and such are like the end all be all. Where I know maybe Devin will agree with me that I think YouTube is vastly more superior than the live view, right? The VOD view that you get. He threw his hands up.
And that's my show. Thank you very much. I've said all I want to say. Thank you for having me.
Gabe,
That's
amazing.
Absolutely. I mean, that's 100% right. We sleep on YouTube so much because YouTube has a dynamic ad network that makes so much more sense to invest in than typical influencer marketing. Like here's the thing with influencer marketing, okay? I actually haven't like talked about this, I think, but if you want to do influencer marketing correctly, a lot of times the way to do it is to do micro influencer content. So for example, let's say that you sell something like you're like a local restaurant in Seattle, right? One thing you might want to do is you might want to look for a couple of local influencers who are 800 followers or less. Not like something like really significant, but who are the type of people that follow a 400 follower Instagrammer? They're friends, right?
Yeah.
People in the local area. So you get together, and I'm actually speaking from a literal case study. I have a friend that does this, and he runs a Vietnamese restaurant in Seattle. And what he did was he reached out to a bunch of people that had like 300, 400 Instagram followers. And he said, hey, come in, get a free meal. I'll pay for the meal. And I'll also give you something on the top, something like 40 or 50 bucks. And take a picture with it. Like, tell me just authentically what you think about my food. This guy went from like this restaurant was clearing like 7 to 8 to 9K good month profit to like 40 to 50 G's a month. Right. And all he did was just Instagram influencer marketing. That was it. Because those micro influencers, you know your target demographic, you know your audience. Whereas if you go to XQC's stream and you try to sell something, right? Well, there's all kinds of fucking people in there, right? Like the way I like to think about it is if you can imagine like let's say that your total following is like equal to a city. So like 500 followers, you're like a small town, right? And 30,000 followers, 50,000 followers, 50,000 concurrents, now you're like downtown LA. And in downtown LA, imagine all the crazy fucking people down there. There's the guy waving his dick at traffic. There's a fucking homeless guy with a bucket on his head, right? So like not all those people are going to be your target demographic to sell something to. So if you really want to do influencer marketing correctly, it's micro-influencing that takes the cake. Otherwise, you go for CPM ad networks that are almost always more effective.
So can you explain to me right now, really quickly, the Dr. Lupo Gillette commercial I saw the other day on fucking Twitch that just popped up? Like, I have a beard. Why would I shave?
Yeah, it's very good.
I think occasionally the Twitch sales team, like V for Vendetta style, black bags a brand and convinces them to spend a horrendous amount of money to try something over here. And usually it doesn't work, which is why you don't see a lot of like repeat stuff. But it does, like it comes through. They sell the inventory, and then it's very shaky. It's really, really hard right now for Twitch to justify their ad spend versus a platform like Facebook or YouTube, Google, or anything like that, because you can objectively measure ROI on any of those other PPC platforms.
And just to like piggyback, Devin is totally right about everything. At the same time, like the market for streamers was perfect when Ninja and Shroud signed their deals. You had you had Google, Amazon, Facebook, and Microsoft all competing against each other with basically open books. And you had all of the streamers with an agency called Loaded, who had all of the top streamers at one time, who had a past history with Twitch and knew exactly how to negotiate the market with making sure all their talent gets paid by one of the major streaming services. From what I understand from sources at Twitch and YouTube, none of these guys want to pay that type of money ever again. The only platform who will is Facebook. And like I was able to report that Facebook offered Ninja twice as much money as he made from the Mixer deal to come to Facebook, and Ninja declined. So Facebook has the money to spend. Twitch and YouTube do not want to spend on content. They also don't think they have to or need to. Because they really don't. Look, YouTube is so much bigger than Twitch. It's just that everyone cares so much about the live streaming instead of VOD, when VOD makes up so much more of the video on the internet. And people just don't realize that or ignore that.
Why do you think that is?
Because live streaming is cool and YouTube isn't as cool right now.
Well, it's also relative, right? Like, because we're power users in the Twitch space, we tend to think about the things that go on in Twitch as like the end all be all. Like the truth is that these are very sort of niche kind of like environments, ecosystems, Whereas like outside of that, you could just give you an example, right? There's about 15 million, and that's like post-COVID, so it's really good numbers. Like 15 to 16 million people that come to Twitch every single day to watch all of the content on Twitch, which sounds like a lot of people until you consider that on YouTube it's 200 million. Except it's 200 million just for gaming.
Yeah.
So like without any other fucking thing included, right? So it's like we live in an ecosystem where Twitch as a platform is like super talked about, but immediately one step outside of that, like you go to Trader Joe's and people are like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah.
Right? It's very insular. Yeah.